We're Drunk Uncle, and you're listening to As the Story Grows.
As the Story Grows.
Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Peyton. This week, we welcome Drunk Uncle to the podcast. Drunk Uncle will release Look Up this Friday, March 11th on Count Your Lucky Stars Records. If you're a fan of Cap'n Jazz, Modest Mouse, and Algernon Cadwallader, you'll want to give this record a spin. The guys talk at length about their musical backgrounds and influences, how fandom and chance led them to Keith and Count Your Lucky Stars, and their new record, Look Up. It was great getting to hang out with all the guys in Drunk Uncle, and I hope you enjoy getting to know Peyton, Jake, Will, and Tyler from Drunk Uncle.
Hey, Brian, this is Drunk Uncle.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Nice to meet you, Brian.
Yeah.
I think I have that same Telecaster that you have behind you. Is that a player series?
Mexican?
Yeah, Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that exact same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LA Brothers.
Tally Brothers.
Yeah.
You guys are going to get along.
It'll be great. I wish I played it better, but you know.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's what pedals are for.
Oh yeah.
Zing.
That's on me, not anybody else. Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out tonight and chatting. Why don't you guys go around and introduce yourselves and what you do?
So we're still waiting on Jake, right?
I'm right here, brother.
Oh shoot, you don't have a.
What the fuck, man? Come on.
Oh, so it gives you the four squares.
I'm the drum. I'm used to it. I'm the drummer. You know, I sit behind everybody.
What are you doing up here?
Yeah.
In the back.
Back in your crate.
Right.
All right, who wants to start? I guess Jake, you got the floor.
Oh, yeah. My name's Jake. I play drums in Drunk Uncle. I work from home. I have a fake work from home job, and run a podcast, go to the gym to hang out, you know. I don't know. I basically do. I stay at home all day, you know.
Got a lot of hobbies.
Yeah. I have a lot of hobbies. Yeah, that's about it, man.
Brad.
And you're wearing my sweater still.
Hey man, I told you you could have it back.
No, it's yours now. I'm just gonna call it mine all the time. I'll go. My name's Peyton, and I'm the shouter, singer, and guitar player in Drunk Uncle. And I have nothing else going on in my life. That's about it.
Nice.
My name's Will. I play bass in Drunk Uncle because I'm not good enough at guitar. I'm the resident band car guy. I have a Miata, so that's fun. Yeah, I gotta flex that, you know.
What is it? Is it like it's like a 2007 Mazda Miata?
You should have done the show.
Actually,
2004. Sorry,
94. 10 years
94
10 years back. Yes,
it's almost 30 years old.
A really clutch thing would have been to do the show from the Miata, like have brought your laptop.
it would have been
also,
way
It's also 19 degrees outside in Texas.
Yeah.
So.
Don't say almost 30 in reference to 94 because that's when I was born, and I don't want to. I don't want to think about that. Really.
I was born in '84, so.
Oh man, dude. Ouch. Sorry to bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, the bummer.
Yeah.
And I'll go last, which is appropriate because I was the last one brought into the band. But my name's Tyler Miller. I play mostly second guitar, and then backup Peyton on vocals, and play keys and some other things. But everyone in the band is actually a multi-instrumentalist. Like everybody brings lots of things to the table.
He's just being
anyway,
humble. Don't listen.
Like, you'll find out later. But Jake writes some guitar parts. Will has written some stuff, and like Peyton writes keys, and I'll write drum parts. Like we really share. We do musical chairs at home. But anyway.
Yeah. And you also front some of the songs, especially on Look Up.
Yeah.
Like you're not just backup.
Oh, thanks. we share the wealth. You can say.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, how has life been in Texas for you guys over the last 2 years now?
You can do whatever the hell you want down here, baby.
Well,
No,
right.
no, it's it's every time I've like traveled. I got back from Seattle recently, and I was like in earnest asked for my vaccine card. And the reason I say in earnest is because I went to a bar in Texas. It was a karaoke joint a couple months back, and there's this guy out front. He's like, "Let me see your vaccine card," and I was like, "Oh shit, all right." And I go to get it out, and he's like, "I don't give a fuck about that. I'm just fucking like I'm playing around." And I was like, "Oh, all right." So it was like to have somebody like it's been interesting to kind of
when you went to Seattle, when they asked, were you like, "Ha, good one. I'm not falling for that one again"?
Well, there was like they were less Yosemite Sam cartoonish about it. Then they were like, "Hey man, I need to see that," and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever." No, it's kind of it's strange to say that like it's kind of been like it's not happening. I don't know, man. That's about the best way I can put it. It's just nothing. Like everything's basically
business
the
as
same.
usual.
Yeah. After that, like 3-week period in 2020, it's just kind of like, what are you talking about? I don't know. Same thing. Same as always.
Wow.
My curly fries are done. Hold on.
maybe that's like that was what's going on around us. But I mean, in our, in Austin, especially where we're kind of centrally located, I mean, things certainly slowed down, and venues really felt
for sure.
it. And so there are the Yosemite Sams out there for sure.
Right.
But it allowed us time and energy to spend writing the LP, which was, great use of that time. And I was actually, everything being slow and working from home was part of why Jake sent me some like demos and then was like, "Hey, do you want to come jam with us?" And I'm like, "Yes, I want to, see somebody." Cause it had been, months in quarantine. And so we were all kind of in a bubble and met up at Peyton's garage like once a week or something. Anyway, so I mean, even in Texas, I think it affected us.
Yeah,
sure,
definitely.
Yeah. But I'm sure the rate is different. Where we're still dealing with mask mandates and virtual school and lockdowns here on the East Coast people don't have.
The high school that I used to go to, actually, just a bunch of the students, and I've been reading about this on like the Round Rock, Texas subreddit. A bunch of the students organized like a massive walkout over like the lack of mask mandates and the lack of virtual like learning opportunities and stuff. So it's like there's definitely a lot of people who are like, fed up with the way that the state is handling things, and kind of like dropping the ball for sure. But the I would say the vast majority either just don't care or actively are against any sort of infringement on my rights, you know? So that's kind of how it's been. I think it's been, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird down here, man. It's like another world.
Yeah. Yeah.
As Tyler put it, it was cool to have, when I went remote, I was working at a university at the time, and it was, thankfully when we released a split Lucky Dizzy board, it was kind of like that name of that split that we did with our homies in Houston, Breathwish. Shout out to them. They, the name, I came up with the name because I was thinking, like, I'm very lucky that I get to do this with my friends. I've also been drinking like 15 White Claws a day. So I'm like, there's the dizzy part. And then it's like, now I'm, and then the boredom and everything. And we were able to just kind of make this thing work given, everything that was going on, and super thankful to have had things work out the way they did, even before the LP.
Yeah.
Just to have Peyton and Will, and then Tyler join, and everything just sort of, we were all able to keep our health and keep writing and keep playing, and just super grateful for that.
Yeah,
even amongst all the bullshit.
Brad, but we'll jump off politics because that's what people tune into this podcast to hear about.
Yeah.
So what got each of you into music, and how did the band kind of come together?
Who wants to start? I'll yeah.
Go ahead. You're the
So, as to what got me into music, I think I always had that like dream, like wanting to be a musician, like in high school and everything. And then it just never, like, I had a different path in terms of I went to college and did some stuff, but I thought that like desire to do music stuff was going to go away and I'd like grow up, but I was just constantly day by day, like, shit, I need to do this. So as soon as I got out, I was like, just constantly looking for people to join or to like do something, a project. And Will was a friend of a friend's, and he was in a band, a math rock band called Trying Science. So we met at like a 4th of July party. I remember I didn't even want to go. It was at my house. I was like, I didn't want to
go either.
Yeah. This was in 2018. I think 2018 or 19.
I think it was 2019, actually.
2019. Yeah. So this was in 2019. And I didn't realize you'd be there. But I had heard you were a bassist in a math rock band. So I like anxiously showed you a bunch of my demos, like phone speaker to his ear at a loud party. Like, that's going to do it any justice. And he was like, okay. Like, he seemed genuinely interested, but you know how sometimes parties are. It's like you're drunk and you want to come up with all these ideas, and it's really ambitious and whatnot. Then, so I like immediately
start a company.
Yeah.
You guys want to do
my
a
own
food truck
boss
together? Yeah.
So I made sure to like text him literally the next day and be like, hey, when can we meet up? And thankfully Will didn't just like blow me off and was like, yeah, let's do this. Especially when you had a project that was like legitimate then. And then we just started working. It took forever for us to find a drummer. Like, we went through like 3 or 4 different drummers on Craigslist.
It was a process. Drummers are hard to find.
They were. It feels like there's a lot now, but at the time, like, well, I wasn't even in the scene at all. And then somehow we just stumbled, like, Jake answered a Craigslist ad for Austin musicians when he's in San Marcos, we're in Round Rock, which is north of Austin. And then Jake was south of Austin and San Marcos. And
it's like an hour away from where we live, basically.
But like, you got to drive on the thickest traffic to get there. And especially at the time he was driving, he was like, sure, I'll drive 2.5 hours every day to practice with some people that I don't know and have never been in a band before, at least in my case. So, or a legitimate band. Because Jake had sent some like demos not even demos, full songs that he had done with another band called Larry and the Bears. And I was like, shit, it was like hard, like good screamo, twinkly stuff, really cool. And he came through, and thankfully he enjoyed it. I was looking at that video of us playing Bad Times for the first time on Instagram recently. I was like, oh my God, just like where we've gone now. That looks crazy.
Yeah. I was in grad school at the time, and I had played in a couple bands before, Boyd and Larry and the Bears. And when I moved back when I moved to San Marcos, I was like trying to find people to play music with, but San Marcos is so small, and any like if you go on Craigslist and like I was like I want to be in an emo band or a Scrams band or like a punk band or whatever. If you type in like Scrams or you don't get any results. In Austin, it's like we have a 9-piece psych blues indie pop band if you want to play drums or mandolin and that. And I'm like, I'm solid.
Drums or mandolin.
Yeah, I'm not to knock that stuff. It's just not. I don't get down with that. So I responded to a couple and I was like, fuck, Round Rock is a trek. But yeah, went up there, jammed once. It was super organic, super cool. And then I think that was like September 2019.
Yeah.
We played
so really kind of quick, like July to September, having the three together. But I mean, in the moment, it felt like a fucking year.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So Jake, I'm on the Larry and the Bears Bandcamp page, and on that split with Boyd's, is that your picture?
Yeah, when I was 5, when I was really into NWO wrestling,
Nice.
So that was from it was pre-K, and it was a career day, and it was like what do you want to be when you grow up? And when I was like 5 years old, the only thing I wanted to be was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like people are like, I want to be a doctor, or like I want to be a spaceman. No, I want to drink big beers and shave my head bald and do backflips. Which honestly, for a part of my life, minus the bald part, like that's pretty much what, you know. But yeah, that is me. And it's long answer to a short question. Yeah, I was a wee little boy.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. We answered the ad. I answered the ad, and then from there we did the EP Fiction Years. That's actually my dad on the cover of that one. And
Jake just imposing his
my whole family line. The next LP is going to be a picture of my grandma.
That'd be pretty wholesome.
Yeah. And then Tyler joined shortly thereafter.
Well, I remember because we were looking to do look up stuff, and we had literally like the first song and the last song on the LP were the only ones we had written, and the first song had a synth part, and then the last song had we didn't know it was going to be first and last at the time. Actually, we may have, I don't know, but the last song had a trumpet part and the first part had a synth part, and we were like, well, we can't do both of these things, and none of us can play trumpet.
I had written a lead part for Tiny Sounds, and I remember being like, well, I can't play drums and lead at the same time, you know. So that's when we started hunting for. And Tyler and I actually went to high school together. Have known each other for a long time. So
in Houston, not even
in Houston.
Awesome.
No, nice.
So that's I as he had mentioned earlier. Yeah, I reached out to him, was like, hey, come hang out, jam a little bit, see if you like it. I'd sent in some stuff. And it was very welcomed because, like I said, I was just in quarantine, working from home, and just feeling super in need of some community. And so he was sending me some demos of the split, actually, and I was giving my 2 cents on some things, and then he invited me to come jam. And my background's pretty different, I think, than Peyton's, Will's, and Jake's. Like my older brother kind of got me into music. I mean, maybe I was like 12 when I really wanted to start playing guitar, and my first electric guitar was a BC Rich Warlock, just like the nastiest metalist and
guitar,
baby. Let's go
to play, like Iron Man and Smoke on the Water and stuff, single note little riffs. But my brother taught, like, some of the first songs that he taught me were, like Green Day songs, and he would give me mixed CDs all the time, like these massive MP3 CDs with just hundreds of songs and all kinds of stuff on there. One of everything like NoFX and AC/DC, just like giving me a real mix of just like, he was like, what do you like? And I was like, I think rock and roll. And he just like gives me a bunch of things kind of adjacent to that. But one of the things on there was a couple songs from Captain Jazz's discography. And it always stood out from everything else on the those mix CDs. And so, I mean, I played in a lot of bands growing up. Jake and I, the high school we went to, was just like prolific with bands. It was really weird, actually, just all kinds. Like I played in a punk band called Riot Up Front, and a pop punk band called Science Monsters Galore, which the front man of that now does, what's it called? What's Ethan Thayer's? Rare Bloom.
Yeah.
In Austin. And so they like tour and stuff. They're great. And then sorry.
Guys in Rare. I didn't realize that guy was in Rare Bloom. That's cool.
Yeah. So tons of, and like Buxton was a big band from our part of town. And anyway, and a math rock band called Footsies I played in, which was probably mostly influenced by Cap'n Jazz until maybe now Drunk Uncle. But anyway, all that to say, like playing in a bunch of bands growing up, and then later, like my wife plays cello and piano, and her parents are like classical musicians and everything. And so for a while, we played in churches on like the rare weekend or something. After we moved to Austin, we would come in to this one place and make like $600 in a weekend to play like a couple nights. And so anyway, just like a really weird mix of things. And I played trumpet in school. And so anyway, all those things added up to, being the right guy for, I guess, what Drunk Uncle was looking for. So whenever we got together, like Jake said, I mean, his experience of it just being kind of an organic, sort of chemistry there or something, it was surprising. And it's so funny because even like last week we got together to work on writing something, and it still just like shocks me every time when we just get together and riff on something and it just like blossoms. So that happened like from the very beginning, and I was like, I just wanted to do this for fun, and really I still just am doing it for fun, but it has, like, for all the effort I put into all those other projects throughout the years, and it just never felt that like organic. So anyway, this is just we're a weird bunch, but and I would have never thought that it would work, but at least I find that it works well for me.
Nice.
That's feel good.
Similar to Peyton, like I had always kind of I grew up listening to like Iron Maiden and like Metallica and shit like that, because that's what my dad was into. And so like similar to Peyton, like I had always wanted to like play music and stuff. And I started off like playing guitar. And then I played stand-up bass in orchestra in middle school for like 2 years. But other than that, like I hadn't done like any sort of performance or like joined any bands or anything like that. And then in high school, I got really into like rap and electronic music. So I started messing around with like FL Studio and making like really weird, goopy electronic music, like trance and stuff like that. And yeah, so I did a lot of weird stuff like that, like just extremely online, like really obscure, like I would get on like weird Facebook pages and just like post weird music and stuff like that, basically. And then
so weird.
Yeah, just really weird stuff, basically. But over time, like I moved out of my parents' house and I was just like working a lot, and I decided that I wanted to be in a band. So I had bought a bass maybe 6 months into living at my apartment, or like a few months into living at my apartment, and I like just started messing around with it. And like, yeah, so I basically just practiced like every day until I felt like I was good enough. And I joined this math rock band called Trying Science, and like that's kind of where I got started into playing music, I guess, like performing live and everything. And
you learned bass and you're like, yeah, I'm going to join.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
band.
Shoot for the stars.
Practice for like 6 or 7 months. I was like, yeah, I'm probably good. Because like I said, I'm not that good at guitar. So I was like, maybe this will be a little easier for me, you know? But yeah, so
They're like, keep up. This one's in 7/8. All right. Go.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm definitely more of a rhythm than a melody guy, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, and then like Peyton said, I mean, basically like we just met at that 4th of July party, and kind of the rest is history. But yeah, like we all have kind of different backgrounds and everything, and like different approaches to writing and making and listening to music and everything. So, you know, I think together, like we kind of just mesh and make something really cool. I don't know. I really enjoy it. Like I said, I mean, this is the second band I've been in, but you know, I mean, like Tyler was saying, like this is the first one where it's really just like organic and spontaneous, and you know, every time we get together, it's just really fun. And you know,
I feel like we're all doing our own Bachelor interview. Like,
yeah.
It's organic. He's very sweet. He's very like, I love being around him. It's very natural. I don't have to try. That went on for way too long. I did not need to go on that long.
Just cut that. Just cut all that. Yeah.
That's our origin story, our super villain origin story.
Right.
Awesome. What led you into playing like emo and specifically this like brand of like twinkly emo? Tyler mentioned Captain Jazz a bunch of times.
Oh yeah,
that's like immediately what clicked in my head the first time I heard the record, and I was like, oh, this. But you guys are probably of an age where you could be inspired by the bands inspired by Captain Jazz. So like,
yeah.
Well, I think
it is like we loved Algernon, and that would be the same thing. So
I personally, when I was in high school, I found this band called Bear McGruff. They were a band that was like the classic emo band story of being around for like 6 months and releasing like one little like 2 or 3 song EP and then just calling it quits. And they had this one song called Down with the Frown that was just like, I don't know, it's a really fucking good song. It's really good. And it's just like so angsty and like punky, and it has kind of like it has like elements of the Captain Jazz sound and everything, and like I really liked that. And I was trying to find more stuff like that, but I couldn't. And so like I just listened to like this one emo song for like a few years, and I was just like, this is really cool. I don't know why I can't find anything else like this. And then yeah, once I moved out, I was living in the apartment complex that I was living in. I had a friend of mine who was actually an internet friend that I had known for like 10 years, and I didn't know he lived in my city. So we moved into the same apartment complex, and then like, you know, because we had realized that we lived in the same town, and he was really into like punk and emo and stuff like that. And he introduced me to a lot of that type of stuff. And I kind of got a little bit into math rock. And so he showed me stuff like Two Nights and Captain Jazz and like Brave Little Abacus and stuff like that. And so that's kind of what got me into it, was just living next to this dude who was really into it, basically. I've only really been like listening to this type of music constantly for the last couple of years. You know, before that I was into like a lot of other stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me.
I think at this point, all of us, because we just throw each other music all the time. But like before this, Jake and I have the same favorite band, and that's Modest Mouse. And I'm speaking for Jake.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So when it started, I was just trying to copy, like the EP is like me just trying to bite Modest Mouse as hard as I can, at least Isaac's vocal delivery and like that kind of stuff. And also some Captain Jazz. Cause I got kind of like Will, I kind of got into like emo later, like probably the past 5 years. I remember a friend of mine sent me some Captain Jazz when I was in high school, and I was like, this is awful. This is bad. And then I would go on Pitchfork and then like look at what Best of New Music was, and they're like, oh yeah, this Wolf Parade album, it's awesome. Which Wolf Parade is great, but it's not like as intense and what I love about Captain Jazz now. Yeah. But like me, Jake, Tyler, and Will, like just love Captain Jazz, love Algernon. A lot of the stuff we ripped was like, we want the guitars to sound like Algernon. And the album's called Look Up. I literally used the song Look Down by Algernon as a reference track for a bunch of the stuff on the album, because I love that song. So yeah, it kind of comes from. I mean, we are definitely like emo revival inspired for sure.
Yeah.
There's innocence in this alcohol-fueled fantasy that's culminated at this party. I'm sure you think you're onto something. But for the sake of us all, man, shut the hell up.
There's I know that it's funny, when I was in high school, I had like early high school, honestly, this was honestly more like junior high and high school. I was hanging out with a bunch of like neighborhood older kids, and they were all into like hardcore punk. And so I got into that, but there was this thing where it was like I found like Rites of Spring on like a forum. And I was like bumping it in the car one day, and they were like, "We don't listen to that shit." Like we were all like, we were all like 14, and like they were like 16, and it's like the emo is like, you know, like just it was like a very aggro little skateboard like punk community that I like, these friends that I had, and we would like listen to Minor Threat and chain smoke cigarettes with the windows up, you know, and like go on the way to the skate park, and like emo and like post hardcore, which was big at the time, like Dance Gavin Dance, that stuff was like. It was like, no, it's not real punk, you know, or whatever. And then like, it weirdly enough, like sophomore year, a buddy of mine who plays in Breathwish, or freshman year showed me Cap and Jazz, and I'd gotten into Old Modest Mouse at around the same time. And I was like, man, I'm really not that mad. I'm just upset. Like, I'm not, I love Black Flag. Don't get me wrong. Minor Threat, like Cro-Mags, all that stuff is great. But I was like, I think I'm more sad than I am angry. So maybe that'll like this sticks a little bit more. Tyler's got a smile. Yeah. Tyler kind of knows what I'm talking about a little bit.
We were in adjacent like friend circles. We had some overlap. So I know who he's talking about when he's telling these stories. And that's why it's really funny to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess for me, my older brother influenced me a lot, and so those mixed CDs were big. But I really got into math rock when I started to actually enjoy the guitar and like want to challenge myself. And so I was listening to a lot of like Terra Mellos and Battles, and for a while, my favorite bands, I had my ABCs. I was like Animal Collective, Battles, and Cap and Jazz. So I was like ABC, and I mean, those are Animal Collective might seem like an odd one, but like some of their older stuff just was like really abstract and like,
yeah, they're definitely,
yeah, it was really, really crazy. And I mean, they have the odd song in an odd time signature. Like they definitely play with that. And so,
and AV Tear goes emo very often. Like
I was walking on feet. I just that's the only song I ever think of.
He does that. Well, like a bunch of Strawberry Jam stuff, he's like screaming constantly. Like Reverend Green, like he's like belting. Yeah. He sounds like fucking Tim Kinsella sometimes.
So yeah, that just I've always kind of liked that, and I left it behind. Not like I stopped liking it or listening to it, but I just was listening to a lot of other things for a long time. But I would always come back to those albums, and what I liked most about them was like the feeling I would get from listening to it. Just as someone who tries to write music and stuff, like that's just really hard to create. Is like those feelings, and like. I feel like what Jake's talking about, like those songs would stick because it's like, gosh, I can feel what they're feeling or what they're expressing. And so I had never been able to really, I think, write that kind of music. And so it was cool to come into a band where they were writing that kind of music. And Peyton, you'll find like I'm just a fan of like every other person in this band. Like I think that's part of why writing really works, because it's like they'll bring something to the table and I already like love it and would listen to it if I wasn't in the band. And so like the vocals that Peyton does are it's just challenging it challenges me, because I'm just like, gosh, like, yeah, that feels really good. I can't do that. And as like that musicians like envy or whatever, it's like, gosh, I wish I could do that, but I can't quite do that, which is fine. And same thing with the way that like Jake plays drums or Will plays bass. It's just so funny. Like Will never asks like, what's the root note, which is just like the bassist thing to do. Like, what's the root note of the chord you're playing? It's like, that's just not how he approaches bass. And so anyway, but yeah, so I feel like these three got me into emo almost like it was like brand new. And so anyway, that I love it.
How'd you guys get connected with Keith and Count Your Lucky Stars?
Jake, you start this one.
Yeah, that's
Funny
actually
story.
So I actually have when I was 25, I got an Empire tattoo on my arm. It's a line from The Loneliness Inside Me Is a Place. It's one of my favorite tracks by them. And I had reached out to their Twitter account or something. And I just wanted them to see the tattoo. I was like, hey, I love you guys. I saw you in like 2013 at a South by showcase. I hope you're still making music. Like, big fan, whatever. Didn't think they'd get back. Well, Keith and Kathy both got back, and they were like, we had like, do you want some vinyl? Like, do you want, like, they sent me like a little swag bag. It was super sweet. Very, very thoughtful. And this was before Drunkle, before I even lived in San Marcos. I was moved back to Houston for a bit for work. And when I joined up with these guys, with Peyton and Will, we were writing together. Tyler joins. We write Look Up, and we were going to self-release. It took us a while to record and write, and everything goes according to plan.
So this was April or June of 2020, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And so
2021.
No, 2020.
We've been waiting up. Yeah, it's been
right.
It's been,
No, it was 2021.
April 2021.
Oh yeah.
We were going to self-release it.
Yeah, so April 2021. Yeah,
it's all the same year. Those 2 years go together.
Yeah, and so anyway, we were going to self-release, and then like literally 6 hours before it's set to drop.
Well, Jake, I'm at work, and like I'm reffing soccer games, and in between the soccer games, I see in our Discord messages, when should we send this to Keith? And this is the day before we're going to release the album.
It's the day of.
Yeah, the day. Yeah, because it was supposed to drop at midnight.
At midnight. So this is like 10 hours before it's set to release.
Right.
Jake's like, yeah, when should we send this to Keith? And I was like, well, it's going to get released tomorrow, so probably today.
Yeah.
That'd probably be best. But we expected like him to say like, this is cool. Hit us up for the next one.
Yeah.
But then I come back and
that would have been a dream, but yeah,
that would have been.
I don't
cool.
think any of us expected that.
Right.
And then Jake sends like a message or a screenshot of Keith saying, wait, this is supposed to come up tonight. And this was a Tuesday. And he was like, new music comes out on Fridays, right? We were like, well, we wanted to be different, release it on a Wednesday. He's like, okay, get on a call with me tonight. So
it was funny. I messaged him on Facebook, and I was like, because we became friends on Facebook, like through the whole correspondence thing. And I messaged him. I was like, hey man, I'm in this band. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm about to be like that guy right now. Would you listen to this and just tell me what you think? And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, send it over. LOL. Like, very sweet. And then I sent him the Google Drive link, and then within like an hour, yeah, as Peyton said, he was like, when is this dropping? And I was like, midnight. And he was like, midnight when? And I was like, 7 hours. And he was like, can y'all talk tonight at 9? And I was like, fuck. Yeah. And I reached out to the guys, told them. And that night he was like, yeah, we're going to do this, and that's how we got on.
It was really a genius business plan from us. We put the pressure on, turn the heat up. He's got to make his decision. Don't tell him we said that, of course.
Yeah, we planned it out totally.
Listen to this podcast.
It's the art of the deal. You have to understand how it was funny because I was like, as I was typing the message, I was having like an internal like insecurity thing where I was like, the guy sent you LPs, bro. Like, don't message him and be like, hey, it's the tattoo guy. It's the tattoo guy. Would you listen to my band's album? Like, please, and of course I just like, I'm glad that I sent it. Cause like part of me was like, don't, the guy's, but it was very much like there was definitely a level of like, all right, I'm going to allow myself to be that type of dude right now, at least once. And I'm glad that I did. Normally I'd be like, I'm not going to bother him. He's got his own, Right. That's how we got met up with Keith, was a tattoo I got 2 years ago. And then me bothering him with a Facebook message at, like midday.
That's awesome. And you're on like one of the emo revival labels run by like the emo revival guy who's just a biggest fan as the rest of us.
It's such a weird turn of events. Like I remember I worked in a call center at the time. And I'm pretty sure we were doing work from home. Like they had just moved us to work from home. And like, I was like, just checking my phone because it was really busy. Like call centers, they deliberately understaff so that they don't have to pay as much. So it was just back to back. I'm just getting screamed at by people over the phone in my bedroom, which is awesome. And I just remember like between calls, like I would pick up my phone and like check the Discord messages, and then like Jake would like send a screenshot and I would be like, oh my God, holy shit. And then like I'd take another like 30-minute long just angry phone call, check the messages again, and it's like, okay, we're going to talk to him tonight at 9 or whatever. And then so we all went over to Peyton's house and got on a Zoom call with him, quite like this one. And
like when Jake Will,
fateful night.
Jake Will and I started it, Jake was like, isn't Count Your Lucky Stars taking open submissions and stuff? And we're like, yeah, we're not ready for that though. And then he's like, no, they're not even doing that anymore. And we're like, well, we could never get on Count Your Lucky Stars anyway. And this was like when we started. So it was literally from the beginning, we were like, this is something we'd like. Literally Count Your Lucky Stars. We're all listening to Snowing anyway.
Yeah.
Come on.
Counterclockwise, turn ourselves back. And like babies out in the forest, from everything, revisiting old thoughts with friends. A chorus of more bugs off dragging out roars of laughs. Then comes that itch reminding you there's a future, but her nose is pink from the weeds. I refuse to say we pursued this.
That's awesome. Well, the record is called Look Up. Any themes you were trying to convey on this record, or just a broad brush of what's going on in life?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm a sucker for a concept album. Like I will take no shame in like loving a concept album. Like Lonesome Crider West is my favorite album of all time. And I would say that's a concept album, like front to back thematically. It's not like it's telling a story. It's not like the fucking Odyssey or like a Homer thing, but it's like, it's got all of its themes condensed into it. And it's very like, I don't know, it has that flow. So we wanted to do something like that. Where we have like themes we stick to, and we're kind of referencing stuff that happens on different songs. Like Brave Little Abacus was a huge influence on this with Discomfort and Mass Dancers, how they like to reference parts of other songs and like borrow lyrics across stuff. We wanted to do a lot of that. We literally, when we did it, before we had set up everything with Count Your Lucky Stars for vinyl, we were going to try to finance vinyl because we wanted to do this like as an A-side, B-side. Like we had the plan of how it would transition on an A-side to the B-side. Like it was all very planned out. Like no one's really going to give a shit about it. But we were like, we wanted that. We
It was
wanted
for
this.
us.
This meant something.
Love of the
like,
game.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thematically, it sounds stupid, but the whole album is just about like trying to not focus too much on what's happened in the past or what's happened in the future, and like stop and sniff the roses, live in the moment. It
And
has
look
this-
up, if you will.
and look up, which that fucking movie. I haven't seen it, but I've been told that the last like hour of the movie, look up, is literally like the like hashtag look up. It's all across the fucking movie, and I'm so upset because we're gonna release this last year before that movie anyone even knew about it, and now it looks like we're like a companion piece to a fucking Meryl Streep movie.
That's the concept.
Yeah, that's the concept.
All part of the plan, baby.
Yeah, but we're happy with where it's at, and yeah, there's one line if like it all came together, I think, and we put this on it's not the liner notes, but the insert on the vinyl, the lose yourself in the maze that fits in the space that fits where the second hand starts and finishes. That's kind of the thesis of the album, I'd say.
Brad, awesome. Yeah, you talked about thinking about thematically putting this on vinyl, the record as a concept. I don't know if it's like a genre thing or just how people approach music, but like, do you still feel that that's like an important part of like the band and music, and not just like we can just release singles all the fucking time because streaming music, it just makes it so easy and we could constantly be in people's ears, as opposed to, okay, here's an LP you have to sit down with.
Yeah. I mean, I fall in love with music because of that, like because of the album front to back.
Mhm.
And I've talked to Will and Tyler and Jake all about this. Like if a band, even some band I love, if they release a single, I'll listen to it like once, but then I'm not going to really put it on much. I have to listen to that album. Like I'm listening to the album front and back,
Yeah.
like all of my favorite artists. That's how I like to consume music. I feel like a song is like an episode to a series. Like you got to watch the whole thing. It has to come together to make something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I've always consumed music as well. As like, it's I don't know if it's just like liking something so much that I want more of it, and I like want to have a bunch of it in one sitting or whatever. But like anytime, you know, an artist I like puts out a new album, I have to sit down and like listen to the whole thing to decide if, you know, I like it or not and everything. I don't know. It's just like, as far as like the business side of it and like the streaming, you know, keeping your numbers up or whatever, it's like singles, you know, I mean, I don't know if this is how it is, but maybe they like make your numbers better or something if you're just constantly putting out singles and then like people listen to them or whatever. Maybe it's like better that way. But
Content, baby, all about that content.
yeah, exactly. It's all about the content. It's a numbers game and everything. And it's like, I mean, that's definitely, you know, important to a point. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like just because the way that all of us consume music is by just listening to whole albums, I think that's just kind of how we approach making it as well. You know, I think that's just kind of how that came about, just from our personal, you know, experiences with like just listening to music in general.
Yeah. And I think it is like important that albums continue to be made. You know, it similarly to why like films should continue to be made and not everything should be translated to, you know, TikToks or something. It's like, you know, just a little piece, like it, not to say that it's like easy to be good at those either, like singles or TikToks or something, but it's just like, it's a different feat to, you know, make a feature film that's, you know, 2 to 3 hours long or something. Right. And there's just, there's something unique about that format. And so I feel the same about an album, and there's just bigger ideas, I think, you know, and more than one idea and things like that. And it's a journey or a story or something that I don't think you can tell with a single. And so it's just, to me, it's like a fun challenge, and it's also just like a rewarding experience to do something like in the format of an album.
Especially the way that, you know, I mean, we recorded and mixed the album ourselves. We sent it to somebody else for mastering, but I mean, we, you know, wrote everything and then sat down And over the space of a couple months, like every few days, we'd get together and like track guitar parts, track bass parts, track drum parts, and like tweak the songs like as we went and everything. So, you know, I think that's that
Like homemade.
process. It's very DIY, but yeah.
Well, you bring up the DIY thing, and that's like, it's really hard for me to listen to music that's not self-produced these days, just because I feel like everything that's self-produced has that album-like quality, or most of it. The stuff that I find, especially in the emo genre, DIY emo, fifth wave emo, or whatever. It's just like everything feels crafted that way because people are doing it on their own, and they're not investing all this money that they have to get back by like gaming the algorithm with singles and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody who like posts their handmade cassette tape on Bandcamp, and it's like they put their heart and soul into this thing, and it might sound a little cruddy, but like somebody made this and put their heart into it. And so
exactly, it wasn't like, you know, a huge record label with like a marketing team and a bunch of MBAs or whatever figuring out how to, you know, make the number go up on Spotify or anything like that. And not to sound like a like, you know, conspiracy, like corporations bad type dude or whatever, but and because I mean there is music, like popular, like top 40 music that is really, really good, and I do like a lot of that type of stuff. But I think DIY is just a different, it's just, I don't know, it's just it's different, you know. It's you can tell that a single person or a small group of people sat down and like made this thing, not because they wanted to like make a bunch of money off of it and make the number go up, because they just, you know, they wanted to make it and they wanted to get something out into the world, you know. And that's I don't know, that's what I like about this band is, you know, just being able to like make stuff and have people listen to it and like it, you know.
Well, you know, the second LP is an EDM album, so don't speak too soon. You know, we're trying to get the money too. So
we
realize, you know, emo is no money in it these days. It used to be a big booming industry, and now we're looking to do the Chainsmokers thing. You know, we're just trying to, you know,
12 singles. The album has 13 songs.
They're all club bangers. You're gonna, anytime you go to a brunch, you're going to hear that over the loudspeakers.
Engineered for TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird. It's like you had the revival and like whatever fourth wave, and like it kind of exploded near the end of its life. And then it's like some of the like Foxy went their way. And now I guess we're in the fifth wave now. And it's like kind of back to being more underground, it feels like.
But at the same time, I mean, like Home is Where, Brandon McDonald, they had an interview with Fantano, so like shit's kind of hit
review. And I mean, a lot of like, I think fifth wave is kind of weird because like you mentioned, I mean, fourth wave stuff kind of blew up towards the end, but a lot of the fifth wave stuff, and I think this is also just partially because most of the people who are making fifth wave stuff are like Zoomers, basically. Like a lot of it, just a lot of it is, you know, I mean, there's a lot of emo bands like Blue Deputy as one, for example, that are just like really big on TikTok, and like that. It's just weird that that's like a medium to promote music now. And I think that's just something that it just brings a unique element to this like wave of emo. It's like, you know, there's just new like internet ways, like extremely online ways to promote yourself and get people to listen to your music. And you know, I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely different than what's come before, just by virtue of the way that the context of the internet that's applied to it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Well, in my head, the name of the band is inspired by Bobby Moynihan's great SNL character, Drunk Uncle. What is the real origin of the band name?
It's much less exciting. I feel like we need to come up with a better story of why it is.
I don't even know where it came from. I wasn't completely sold on the name to begin with.
Oh, I never was either. And the person
neither was I. Which is, it's so funny that like to come that we like came to that conclusion as a three-piece. I remember like a one conversation, like I think we did talk about changing it at the very beginning, and we just never got around to it. And then,
I wouldn't have it any other way now. But
yeah, no, it ended up sticking. Yeah.
Okay. So the origin story as of now, and I don't is somebody, my drummer, who I had for a very brief period, like a month before I met Will. Marshall, we were trying to come up with a name for the band, and it's like, I don't know, coming up with a name for a band, it feels so final and like nothing sounds right. So he just was like, fuck it, let's just name ourselves something stupid like Drunk Uncle. So I just kind of started naming the demos Drunk Uncle. And then when Will asked the band, I said Drunk Uncle. And then when Jake asked the band name, Drunk Uncle, and then we posted it as Drunk Uncle. So we
made the Instagram account, and that's when it's
you can't go anywhere there.
I think when it was final for me is when I started abbreviating it to not just Peyton and Will, but to my friends as Drunkle. Like when I started, like people started, like I would be like, "Oh, Drunkle's playing it, so and so," and I'd be like,
that name is definitely stuck. I think when we were having the conversation of changing the name, I think at one point the idea came up just to call ourselves Drunkle. But yeah, it just never ended. And I mean, it's you know,
it's grown on me.
I like Drunkle. It's grown on me. Yes, I love the name now.
I've evolved my own definition of the name. So my sister is like super successful, like smart. And I just know that she's going to be like, I'm just going to be the drunk uncle who has
Dude, life. Me too. Yeah. My sister went to college. I didn't.
Yeah. My sister got accepted to UT and she's like top in her class, like bullshit. So I'm just going to be showing up every Christmas and scaring her children, but whatever.
As you do.
We'll all be there.
Like, I was in a band one time.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Empire? They signed us.
We were on a late. Well, why are we all turning into like old California prospectors? Like we're
older. Good times. Good times. Well, what's the future hold after this record? You guys going on tour?
We have a little Texas run we're doing with the band we did a split with, Breath Wish. We're in the works of doing that, like 8 or 9 Texas dates. We want to do like a big one up, like out of Texas. It's just being in a Texas band and being smack dab in the middle, being anywhere in Texas, like getting anywhere.
It takes like 10 hours to get out of the state.
Yeah,
in any direction.
Yeah, any direction. And when you're smack in the middle, like, you know, I mean, we want to get out and tour. We're going to do the Texas run and then see how everything plays out and keep writing LP2.
Well, the album comes out on March 11th, which is the first day of, and this is air quotes for whoever is listening, South by Southwest. We don't know what that's going to look like right now. Right. Allegedly it's happening, but like, we've seen what South by looks like in previous years in terms of marketing and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like, that's just not been there, but at the same time, it's like still happening.
It's like an open secret kind of thing.
Exactly. Right, we don't know exactly what that looks like. So, I mean, we'll be playing some South by shows. I know Chillwave is doing a thing. The DIY record label Chillwave is having us. So we'll be playing some like South by shows, but outside of that and the album release, we have that
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.